welcome to Trading Lounge and the US tech stocks. We'll be looking at the S&P and the NASDAQ first. And as you know, we've got this week, we've got Apple's earnings on the 31st, Amazon's on the 31st, Nvidia's that's on the 20th of November, Meta is on the 30th of October, and Google's on the 29th. Obviously they can change and you need to double check them. I just got that off the internet. Secondly, obviously we've got the elections there as well. So we've got earnings, we've got the elections, and I want to have a look at the volume on this, because we're looking at two. This is just the weekly chart here for the S&P. We're looking at two pathways to the upside. One was basically wave 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 here, and then a 1 and 2 here, and the other one and pushing up higher, so a stronger move to the upside. But as we're all starting to recognize, we're not really seeing the momentum in the third wave there. So this one here that we will look at trying to fit 5 waves into this first one here, this one here is probably the case. So looking at this whole move up here as wave 1. Now the question comes next is that wave 1 top in, or isn't it not? But just before we get to that, I just want to confirm, validate why I'm sort of looking at this one here, and it's really got to do with the volume. So this is the monthly chart here. We're coming to the end of October. This is the SPX here, and if I go, and you can see as the markets, for a trend to be a trend, it really needs increasing volume to the upside. And when we start seeing lower volume here, especially if we go to the futures market, because paper money can really dictate. So in this case here, we see, increasing volume at this point. But these last 2 months here, they've been dragging their feet. So we're seeing the market push up on lower volume. It's the 28th today, so October, 31 days in October. So, we're pretty close to the end there. And this will be the same for the NASI as well. If we come to the, let's just have a look at this one here for a moment. It's not too bad. It's there. Let's just have a look at the futures. These are just the E-minis, but we can see that, it's pushing up on lower volume. So it's moving up on thin ice, hot air, so it's not much there for that. So the volume is suggesting to us, especially the S&P volume here, is suggesting to us that, we've got a small range here. The volume's much lower. So it's quite possible there is a top in place. So this is why we would sort of look at this one. So as I mentioned, the next question is the top in place, or do we need to push up a little bit further? So we've been looking at, I'll just cut straight through to here. So last week we talked about this here being completed as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. But we don't know if there's a top in there just yet. I can see that with the S&P, we do actually need to move down here and just take out that low here, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But when I look at, if I can just drag across, Meta will do the trick here, just to point out, with Meta we've got 1 and 2 here, and 3 here, and 4 here, coming back to the 38.2%. So we've got that wave 4 in here, and we've got a bit of an impulse wave up here. So we're looking for 5 more waves to come to the upside, and the Meta's earnings on the 30th of October. So we'll see how that sort of plays out. The other one that, just going a little bit left field and not spending too much time on these, but this is Morgan's here, JP Morgan's, and we've got 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the fourth wave. So the fourth wave, I haven't actually pulled that apart, but I can see there's some sort of ABC there, and this last leg always sort of takes out the previous leg. So in this case too, I could see that we can move down here a little bit further and then move up here. Now wave 1 took extensions in wave 3, so wave 1 distance and wave 5 distance would be roughly the same. It may not take as many days as this, but there should be a fair few days in this particular space here. So I can see that some of the tech stocks, and I can see that the banks, they also need to push up higher as well. So there is the case for for these markets to push on a little bit higher. So I'll just move that over there. I hope I don't forget to do Meta when I come to it. So I'm thinking that there's first of all, there can be a top in place here, right? But and I can see that we're going to have one more low in here, and that's going to help sort of verify that there is a top in here. But like I just said, I don't think that's the case. I think we do need to come up one more leg up here somewhere before we get that top in. So then it makes this here, well, how do we count all of this here to get that there? And when we think about it, most stocks, I mean, not most stocks, the two that we just reviewed just then have wave 4 over here. So we could do this here for this market. So I could put wave 4 here on this, and I could put this over here as a 1 and 2 here, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So there's two ways to count this up here. So first of all, we know that the volume is telling us that we've got a top is, there's no real buying volume coming in. We've got earnings. They may have good earnings, Tesla did, and, they could have good earnings. I don't know. I mean, that's also a bit of a guessing game as well, isn't it? To a point, I guess, unless you specialize in that area, and I don't. But I can see from the volume that we've got a bit of a top in place. I can also see from various sectors that we can push up a little bit higher. I can also see how we can count this up here in two ways. So let's just have a look at that first. So the other way that we were looking at this before was this way here. So this hasn't been proved wrong, but the volume is suggesting that it's going to be wrong. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. We had wave 2 here, but I can see we need to come down a bit further on this probably. We don't need to make a new low on the NASDAQ, but here we kind of do just about anyway. But anyway, this particular count here, it's not ruled out, but because of the volume, it's sort of highly unlikely. Okay, so we need to look at that move that I just mentioned there. We need to look at it in a couple of ways. This is one way of looking at it. So wave 4 here with 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That fits quite nicely, and we come down for wave 4 here, and that will put us in line with Meta and some of the banks. Morgan's is one of the leading banks, isn't it? So and then looking at wave 5 to the upside. So it's going to be a bit of a rough ride anyway with the elections, and that's also a guessing game, isn't it? So it's we just need to be a little bit careful. So that's that, and then we can count this move up here a little bit differently as well. So that I think I've got it here on this one here, which leaves us like this here with wave 4 here with 1 and 2. And then 1 and 2, an extended 1 in here, and 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it's a little bit different. And the third is still longer than this one here, so it's sort of okay-ish. There's just a few different ways to count it. And then over here, where we are at the moment, it does appear that we'll probably get a bounce off here as well, and then down here, and then up at this point. So if I was going to go short, for instance, once this leg here is finished, then we could look to go short under that. But I don't I just don't, I don't want to be long or short just in here. We just don't want to get sort of trapped in that situation. And it does look quite corrective up into this point here. And just to drill in on that a little bit further here. So we can look at this as wave 3 with a wave and ABC for the B wave here, and then down for the C wave. It's going to bounce off the 5-8 here. I would imagine there might be something like this coming into play, and then down at that point. Now I could put wave 4 over here, that's also possible as well, and look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. It hasn't pulled down as much as the NASDAQ has. I was wondering if this was part of the Israeli Iran situation. But either way, we'll just give it a little bit of time. So yeah, the question is I cannot confirm at this point that there is a top in the market. Okay, so we would have to wait for a 5-wave move down here and then a counter trend here, and then we can look to go short at that point. Otherwise, we're going to be looking to go long at this point. Okay, so that's the S&P in a bit of a nutshell, and most of the other, the ETFs fit into that mold there as well. So it's the same thing with the NASDAQ here as well. As I mentioned with Meta, we're looking for one more move to the upside, and in this case, we already made a little move above the top here already. So the NASDAQ is, even though the S&P has taken this top out and the NASDAQ hasn't, so the S&P is sort of stronger overall based on probably the banks to some degree. Eternally here, the NASDAQ has shown a little bit more strength, and it has migrated from being resistance to support over here. It doesn't mean that the support will sort of hold, but it is holding at the moment. So there's you can't short into, you could do anything you want, but you can't short into large numbers like this. You can buy and sell at large numbers because there'll always be pretty much always be a reaction to that. So I think there's still another little leg to the upside here. It doesn't have to be as high as I've got it here. If I use this here as a bit of a yardstick and take that as wave 1 here, then that would be the yardstick over here for this, with wave 1 and 2 here, with the length, because the extension's in wave 3 here, we can take length of wave 1 will be the same as wave 5. So coming into this old high here and the 21 here would be suffice. So I'll probably need to bring that down here a little bit realistically, but we've got to see where the earnings sort of come out with all of this as well. But yeah, so I just think we know the trend is weak because of the volume. We can see that the Elliott wave patterns on some of the markets need to go a bit higher. So we'll look for another little high here. So that's that. Do I need to go into, where are we on 1 day? Maybe I'll just see what I've updated here. Okay, so this is 3 here with the ABC for wave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we could probably get wave 4 in here. It hasn't really overlapped wave 1 like the other market has, but we could do that. It could be more of a complicated wave 4, but let's just see if we get this here first, and then an ABC, and then a push up. But it's possible for it to come down as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here in line with the S&P, and then we bring wave 4 over here. So if we get the 5 waves here, if we get the 5 waves over here, then we can look to go long over here for this, but we'll just wait and see how that plays out. Okay, so let's have a look at stock now that we've said all of that. So that means that little count that I had on the NASDAQ with 1 and 2 here and 4 over here, I could probably do the same. I could probably put this wave 3 over here and this and that. But all I really want to do at this point, whichever way you want to count it, I want to look for one more move to the upside. It's got its earnings on the 31st, which I think is probably around the Thursday. But we've had this. We could look at this as Alessio had it the other day. He had it as a bit of a different pattern here as well. He's got it as wave 3 here with an A, B, C, D, and E here, and then up for wave 5 here. So I'm still looking for a bit higher ground, so maybe that could still play out here in 1, 2, 3, A, B, C for 4 and 5 up here, possible at that point. We're still looking for that. This particular pattern here too is not that, it does show up in other markets as well. It does show up in Goldman's here, for example. So with Goldman's here, Don't worry about my ones and twos. The volume's not going to confirm that. So in this case, the A, B, C, D, and E here, and then up for a top here for this, this type of situation over here for this. So this pattern's not isolated. That's basically what I just wanted to point out. So it's okay, but I still think we need a little bit more to the upside. We don't have a nice, crisp, clear impulse wave to the, just go to the 1000 here. So I want to look for one more move to the upside. Now I could put it as this wave 4, or I could put it as this wave 4 here. So it's not like a big deal at this particular point. And this move down here in the aftermarket came down lower than this one here. So if we look at that, just to let's take a look at that here. That was Apple. So this is it here. So you can see that it's come down lower than here, but also too at the same time we can see that it's quite impulsive to the upside here. It looks like it's 1, 2 and then a whole third wave, so probably need to push it up here a little bit further, but we could put wave 1 here or wave 1 over here for this. I've just got it there at this particular point in time, and on 100 here, just to drill in a little bit further. I drew that in there because it hasn't from the aftermarket. So 1 here with an ABC for wave 2. So not so simple. So going long on the 233 above the 233, and we'll have a look at that. We'll have a look at this in the next session. See what this pullback looks like a little bit more. See if we get a setup on this level here, or if it does pull down, because we know the S&P's got to pull down if that's the case there, because we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the A, the B, and the C here. It needs to come down a bit further. We could put this as the A, B, C here, as long as that stays in there, and it could do because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the S&P is like that, and the NASDAQ is like that, so it could just push up from here, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. So it just needs to play out a little bit further. And Amazon here has got its earnings here, so we can look at it. I haven't really sort of changed these, so we can look at this as wave 4 over here, which will be pretty much the right sort of timing really for things, So the same thing with Apple here. We'll just wait for this to play out here. If you want to get rid of this trade here, then get rid of it now on that one, because it will pull back a bit deeper, so have it green and then turn red at that point. But if you want to stay in, that's fine. We should still be heading up towards the 200 at this point. And then we come over to Nvidia, and its earnings are a bit down the track a little bit. So yeah, I mean, this trend looks pretty good, doesn't it? I mean, obviously this is the backbone of AI at the moment. So yeah, it's looking all right at this point. So there's no need to change this particular trend at this stage. I could put this as 1 and then 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I could change that a little bit. I'll check that. I won't do it on your time. I'll do it on mine, but I just noticed that. So yeah, we've got 1 and 2 in here, and 3, 4, and then looking to go up here as 1 and 2. Now, I'm looking at this here, and I can get an A and a B and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of here for this for wave 2. That's fine, but I think that we could also view this as 5 waves down and as an A, B, C, and we get wave 2 over here for this. And if this wave 2 is going to go over here, then I'll be probably more inclined to bring wave 4 over here. But I'll just see how that goes. We've got a few positions in here, so we could bring the stop up a bit here, so we don't, I mean, technically, if that was going to be the case, then we could bring it up under this low here, and that means we've got, protect a little bit of profits here at this point. But I'll leave that up to you. If you may want to ride it all out. But yeah, I mean, we can look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. I don't think it's, I would like to put this over here as 1, but it's just not going to play out at this point. The 140 will be a good support, so we'll just see how that goes. We'll just let it play out. We don't need to do anything with that. And then we come over to Netflix. So with Netflix here, I'll have to go back here and look at this here all as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 3, 4, 5 here, and then look at this as the ABC pattern up here. So this will come down much the same as the S&P and give us a little bit more of a low in there. And I should have put in Meta first on this. So with Meta here, so with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 at the 38.2%, so we're calling that low in and then looking for a little move to the upside there. So we're looking for 5 waves up with 1 and then the ABC back for 2 here, and on that we can go into the 100 here. So it's probably, what's that, Wednesdays, Monday 28th, 29th, yeah, 30th Wednesday. So we're calling this as low in, and we've got ourselves a nice little impulse wave here. Now we know that some of the other markets need to go down a little bit further, so we'll have to look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the A wave, the B wave, and then the C wave down here. So we'll be able to bring this down to the B wave, and then we might be able to bring it over to wave 1 over here. So we'll look for a long trade in this one, but we'll just chill for the time being. But once you've got those highs in there, you can bring them down. Okay, so I'll leave that up to you. But we do have, quite a nice impulse wave there for to help us, ticking boxes to the upside there. And then Netflix here, and just as I mentioned, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC here. I mean, I could look at it as wave 1 and back for wave 2 here, but I can see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just to this point. So yeah, we'll just give it. We don't want to buy on the low here or anything like that. We'll just give it a little bit of time and let it come to us rather than us chase it. So we'll just chill on that. And then we come over to Google, and it's got its earnings on the Tuesday, tomorrow. So, one of the things here is we wanted to go long if we could find 165, the lower end of minor group 2 here, 65, 72, and 80 as the support. And we still don't have it yet, but I believe that we will at some point. And it does appear that we're getting a little wave 1 moving up here for this. So this, this particular market has been, completely different than the other markets. It's been moving down here. So we can take it a little bit like Tesla, and Microsoft. We can take them a little bit differently from the other markets. But yeah, in this little move here, you can kind of see we've got 1, 2, 3 here, 4, 5. So got to be a little bit careful about all of this. I never liked this wave 2 here for a starter, because it was too big. So it may end up with, anything can happen here. We could get 5 waves up. We could get our 5 waves up here, and we could still come down over here. We could end up bringing this over to here and having this as a B wave over here. And not to make it too complicated, but, having a C wave here and a B wave here and an A wave here. So an A, B, and C wave up here for a larger B wave, and then come down for a C wave. So there's a few things. So even if we do get the little 5 wave there, which I'll go in now and check it out, we just can't chase it just yet. So I've got this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth here. So this will be 1, 2. So in this case, we should push up here as, I'd have to just check in there. It looks like 1, 2 here, but 3, 4, 5 up here. So we can get that, and we could come back as wave 2, and we can go long above there. But as I just mentioned, we could end up with, a bigger picture down here to come down a bit lower over here for this, So we have to wait for this to play out here, and then we can look to go, we'll start from the top and then we'll work down from that point. But I'm just letting you know that, it's I mean, if we were in a normal bull market, not a problem, but with these earnings and the elections and the planet on fire, so to speak, we just need to be a little bit careful. And this comes over to Microsoft, and Once again, we can have 2 or 4 here. We can even have something else here as well. It doesn't really matter. But what I was looking for at the end of the day was to get support on minor group 1 of 400, so the 430 here. And we don't really even have the first high above the level just yet. So we still got a fair way to go. And even if we do get the first high up here, that doesn't mean that it's support. We wait for the first high and then we can go long above that, or the second high, and that's what we'll be looking for over here. But yeah, wave 1 here with an ABC for 2 here, 3, 4, 5 up here for 1, ABC for 2. So we'll see how it plays out. But like I said, there's all I'm doing is looking for a setup, and as you know, I knew that the market, figured that it would push up and all the rest of it, but we didn't trade it up, but suggested that you could to the 430 and get out. But now we need to wait for the support over here. We need to see, some setups don't always fold out nicely and they fall into place, but if they do fall into place, we've got to put our trader's hat on and trade them, but if they don't fall into place, well, then we don't trade them, so let's just see what the market gods deliver. Tesla here, we're getting 5 waves up here now. Our analyst Kittipon, he gave me a chart on this. Let me find that chart. Here it is. So yeah, this is Kittippon's chart here. So he counted this for us on the NASDAQ here. He normally does the crypto, but does a few other little things. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and going up for wave 5 here. So we will expect it to go higher, but it should, it should be on lower volume, and it won't go too far. And once it finishes this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, then it's going to, it's going to pull back at this point. So we don't want to go chasing it up here for that. Okay. Thanks for putting that out, Kittipon. So basically, that's the little triangle pattern here. So we can expect it to move up here higher on this. And then have some sort of corrective move back at that point. So when it comes back here, we'll look at it, so that's where that is at the moment. And then we come over to Bitcoin. So I want to have a look at Bitcoin in a couple of different ways. I mean, one of the important things is we know that this is a corrective pattern here. Okay, so it doesn't mean that it can't be more corrective. As it's been floating around the internet, we could pull up to the 70,000 and we could have another leg down here for this. So that's possible as well. We can have a larger ABC pattern here for this. That's possible. So apart from it pulling down here further, we've got it as wave 3 here with 4, and then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. The other count that I've got for this is slightly different. So it's on the daily chart here, and that brings us back down to the previous low here. So I'll just get in a little bit more volume data. So from the low here of 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then the third, 4 and 5 here for the third, fourth here, and because of that blue 1 and 2 here, that would take us up here for this. So that would be 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and going up for the third, going up this way for the third, fourth, and fifth. That's just bigger picture stuff. So one of the things that I've always been looking for here for a long time was really to find a nice support on the 65,000 here, which is a medium level, and it's really been the balance point of this correction to a point. And we're here again, and it's not tested support yet because it hasn't taken out the top here, but we are getting impulse waves in this direction. So I figured that would go up here further. But it's, once again, like I said, it's quite possible for this to be some sort of A wave, B wave, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, like the other markets, and then have a correction down here for this. Making a new low here. That's quite possible. So we'll keep an eye on that. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this case. Yeah, but in the meantime, we'll just continue to look up, and I'll just see what I've done on the 5. I'm not sure what I've updated here. Okay, so this is we'll just bear with me for a moment. So we're looking for a wave 1 here, so we can, I did look at this on a smaller time frame, so we can put that in there. We noted that this here was in 3 waves here, so that means we should be taking out the top. That was the premise of it all, and this was our pullback sort of area here, but obviously the 65 is, and this is retesting, but it hasn't taken out these tops here. So, you know, technically we would be looking, you know, our normal trade would be that there. You know, we've got a position down here somewhere anyway, but yeah, so that's that. So we'll just see how this climbs. And just on a very sort of subtle note while we're here, I mean, obviously 70,000, you know, it's got lots of zeros on it. It's important. So this is a little group 2 here. This is 66,500 there. And then the 72, so 67,200, and then the 68 here. So, you know, it's good to kind of understand those. You can see the market weaving through those as we speak. And if I just go into the 1,000 area here, that's kind of, you know, all it does is really highlight the corrective pattern. And this one here, it's not the best looking impulse wave up here, but we do have this 3-wave move here, so that's quite handy. Yeah, so we want that 68 as the support there next. Just going to the 100 here, and I was looking at this. Let me just get a bit more data here on this. So we're looking for this ABC pattern, and then we're looking for wave 1. You might have if you've got a position here, we need to lift the stop up. We can lift the stop up to break even on this little one in here if you've got that. But yeah, so looking at this is the ABC pattern here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Monday morning, brain cells not working, 1 and 2, and I'm thinking of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but that's a little bit of a long shot, but we'll just see how that goes, and just basically kind of looking here for a little classic trading levels pattern, the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, some sort of little ABC pattern, and then a push to the upside on that. So yeah, I mean, for it to be bullish, we want that. You just need to eyeball it, you know, that 68 as being the support. And just because it trades above it, it doesn't mean that it's support. You have to wait for the first high and you go long on that, or second high. So the same thing here as well. But anyway, we've got that little one to break even. That's something at that point. Rightio, I'll leave it all at all of that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.